Welcome back. We are going to go and throw some shade at Cramer and maybe a couple kudos. Although we try not to beat him up too much because his heart's in the same place ours is. We just want to help. The idea is we like to bring technical analysis to the table when it comes to picking off Cramer's trades and his ideas. And usually we find a couple good swing trades out of it. So think of this more as a watch list build and less of a, beating on Cramer. But we're going to beat on him a little bit anyway.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. We gotta throw shade where it's due, and at the same time, we're not above giving kudos where they're due either. Mm-hmm. Let me switch to our YouTube chat, make sure we're working there. And if you guys are just joining us, feel free to ask questions and shoot us things in the chat. We got it open today. We're going full on live. All right. So breaking out with a little bit of our FOMC move, and that was quite interesting to see it break out of the previous all-time highs with such a massive move. It was chartable. We were able to pick off the top target here at about 520. I was pretty sure it could hit 521. And 521.40 was my full-on bull target. After things really started to pick up in that conference call, I mean, Jay Powell hitting the mic or on the podium or whatever, we started realizing that the expected range day was starting to break out, and sure we had that range, and then bam, as soon as it broke that gold zone, which is just the liquidity from the previous all-time high, it was game on, brother. We just knocked it out of the park. And if you joined us, Creed and I in the Discord channel, we were picking off price targets by the minute and just scalping the tar of that move. It was awesome on futures. Going into the first thing, I went ahead and picked off your email list this morning from the Cramer tracker.
Yeah.
So it's extensive, man. He's saying slam the table and buying a bunch of stuff. We got a really long list. I picked off most of the ones that are more important to me, of course, and put them at the top of the list. With an exception to, I didn't add Apple to it. I'm going to add Apple to that right now.
Yeah, he's out there tweeting that let the sellers have their day and don't sell.
Really? Because I mean, the whole news with the lawsuit and stuff, we've known about that forever. It's a bit of a top tick if he's saying hold it in this mess. I mean, if you're an investor, you're not going to be scared about a couple dollar moves here and there. But if you're a trader, we love those. And we're going to pick it off from a trading standpoint because we're technical analysts. That's what we do. We analyze the chart and we take
just
moves.
Remember, we do have a 2X Apple vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Not that I like talking my own book, but
well, do it anyway. Throw some shameless plugs in there. I'm not sponsored by Snapple, but I'm going to drink Snapple.
Yeah, if you believe that this is a dip buy opportunity, AAPX.
It's kind of looking like it. So let me drill down into that a little bit. We had our outside move that was the other day. We traded this pretty easily. Gave us a 1-for-1 target in a day. If you looked at this on a 5-minute chart, it would give us all that range. We're kind of hanging right in the bottom of that. We basically revisited support. If you look at this whole thing, it's choppy as hell. There's your primary. There's your accumulation. If you stacked a block from here to here through the mean, this was your target. Nailed that. We've been talking about this for weeks. We were saying, and in this whole thing, our moderators got together and we put our heads together in a nerd session on a Friday and said, yeah, dude, this is looking like a solid buy. We took it to the moon and back. Traded all of that consolidation, went long again, scalped it again. We weren't in this yesterday. We were busy with, well, at least I wasn't, busy with FOMC yesterday. Could have had that extension right out here. I'm okay with that because I'm looking at this dip buy opportunity and I'm thinking if it holds the support area around 172.50, we could see this swing on and continue. The weekly chart is where the real dope is, though. You got this big old double top. That's what a lot of people are worried about. Cramer, of course, saying, hold on, don't sell. Gives you a little ominousness about maybe this will breach its support here. I'm going to turn this one red. There's your critical area. So let it be known I'm looking for, if it can't hold this support, sure, it can be bearish for a while, but in the meantime,
What's your number there? Because I like 173.45 if it breaks above.
if it holds above 173.45, 173.50, I could see it being bullish and being a good dip by opportunity. But if it gets to be messy and starts to tap on that 168 pivot that we bounced off of so well, we might see some bearish movement back and retrace some of this. But that's kind of like critical. Like if the economy's melting down or Apple makes some real dumb moves, sure it can do that. But in the meantime, from a scalper or a trader point of view, yeah, we want to see it breach back above that 173.40, 173.50 area and start to run on up to our initial target. 181 is the outside move, and that's just basically retracing all this. And if you look at it a little further left, it's just a mean reversion of this whole trend here. So effectively, we've got pretty much a good opportunity to scalp this thing. It's going to be volatile, and we love volatility as traders. So I'm thinking we'll get some range trades at the very
Especially
least.
in Apple, because Apple typically of the Magnificent Seven stocks doesn't move as much. So when it starts to move, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, volatility is always key, and that's what we look for. So it's very stable. I mean, it's not huge risk to take positions in it. I mean, it's a big company. It takes a lot of money to make that equity move. So it's a very very solid trading stock, and investors alike. If you wanted to throw some capital at this and wheel trade it, it's great for options income as well. I love that strategy with stuff like this. Although I'm tied up in TNA right now, I'm really invested in that position. And if I got I got $42 covered calls sold on that thing. If I get a sign on it, I'm going to be tickled because in a period of 6 days, I brought my cost basis down to like 36 and change. So I don't mind that gap at all. Moving ahead, let's look at NVIDIA, the elephant in the room. What's your take on this one? I mean, this has kind of been crazy.
Yes, it has been. And our our NVDX has like almost tripled in assets. But I think it's got to digest, but it's holding up here. If you look at this whole move, either the 10-day moving average, the 20-day exponential has held, and any dips, and mostly the 10-day has held, but there've been a couple dips into the 20, those have held, and they tried to sell it off today, and so far so good. I mean, this thing's just a beast.
Bears couldn't have it, man. This morning, I quickly marked that out. It's an obvious bull flag. I mean, this thing is just nuts. Whenever we see these things, we always mark out a couple of points. One, you have this big old range bar. That's going to be your expected range to trade in. This is the previous high where there's some liquidity. You can see some sellers here. I marked that out. So if we extend through this move, here's your primary from yesterday. Secondary is just about met at the base of this guy. Break through that, we'll head to this zone. We'll start to break this. And this is where the big liquidity is. That's a big range, guys. 974, all the way down here to like 950, 250. Huge. Ton of sellers were in that. So there'll be some bag holders who bought this thing looking to unload in this area. So be careful with the bull flag. Always apply that 60-40 rule. And they have a 60% chance of follow through to give you a nice measured move out, which would put us over 1,000. And they also give you the 40% failure rule where they may break their support and retrace the previous trend by half and whole. Well, there's half, there's whole. So I don't expect it to do that. NVIDIA has been just absolutely killing it. I think there's a pretty good chance this bull flag to break out and continue. And of course, you're going to see some order flow in that NVIDIA ETF for sure. I think
We already have. I mean, again, it's 420 million right now in AUM. I think the last time I was on your call, it was probably about 100.
yeah, I think so. That sounds about where we were at. That's insane growth, man. Kudos on
I
that one.
I, I don't mind.
Not at all. One key area I'm looking at on the short term, I mean, just kind of a trader's point of view. There's some liquidity here. It's about in a retracement area of this move. So, if we've tapped it with a wick, we held, we bounced right off of it, drill down to a 5-minute chart. You got a nice expected move here. We're about in the middle between these two zones. So you'll see some profit taking here, some accumulation here. Typically, I like to draw just a basic pivot between two zones like this. Do this all the time on SPY. If you join us in our Discord, I'll walk you through every step of price action and show you how to do this stuff. But it's so simple once you get it. You guys will be professionals before you know it. Looking at this, we've come through that halfway zone, accumulate a few bars, break this high. There's your target. Pretty simple. So if we keep going higher, we have all the range we want for every time frame we want to trade. Of course, Cramer's going to take the credit and say buy here. I don't know, man. It's high. It's hard to buy. It's hard to swallow. But buy high, sell higher does work when you have a good setup.
Yeah, I mean, it just they can't kill this stock. I mean, Cramer. I mean, he's got the biggest man crush ever on Jensen. You know that.
Of course, he took his profit way too early, though. We threw a meme in our socials yesterday or the day before. It's like shows a picture drawing a Cramer in a chair. Yeah, Kathy, I think you should sell Nvidia.
Mhm.
Oh, that was hilarious. Sorry. Not sorry. But yeah, a bull flag's a bull flag. We'll trade it as it comes, and we know where all the levels are. It's pretty easy to scalp from one to the next and rinse, repeat.
Yep.
Swing traders are starting to really take interest in this, though. They'll start to pile on here, and gosh, if they ever decide to do a forward split, they'll just carry even more volatility, which we love. Traders love that stuff. We'll run with it.
I mean, I hope they don't split it, but
I hope
we'll
they don't too,
see.
because it'll maintain its value and a little more stability that way. But
Well, I mean, I'm selfish. I mean, to me one of the big selling points of a levered ETF is a much lower share price. So
true.
if they do a 50-to-1 stock split, we'll have to do a stock split on NVDX.
That's right. Makes just a lot of headache. Well, hopefully they don't split it, but they might be thinking about it above 1,000. Just
Oh, I'm sure they are, and I think it's at least got to take a look at 1,000. Poke its head up there, look around, see what things look like.
right.
Probably not today, but at some point, I think it's going to test 1,000.
It's got that look, and that bull flag is pretty obvious. So I think we got a shot. Um, what's the next one he was looking at? God, we got such a long list. SoFi was a big one to look at. And again, we've got lots of trader levels on this thing. This has been a great trading stock lately. We were a little less interested in this chop here, but now we're starting to see that chop literally repeat. Let's go to the weekly. Repeat. And market structure does its thing. We could see this break this range after a little while, chewing it up for a while. Maybe getting above 1050 would be a good signal to go long and take it to like 12, 13 bucks. Sorry, my dog's noisy. Um,
Yeah,
but
there's some natural stops here for me in like the 715 to 720 range that I mean if I were going to take a long I could use, or if even 732, which is the 10-day.
seems about the area. I was kind of looking at breaching, 745. We could see liquidity at this reversion target, 775 to 780, somewhere in that neighborhood. Um, give a little momentum above that. We could start seeing it look at this area up here in the $8 range. But I think we're going to probably consolidate a little bit more before we attack that. But I mean, break the long term up here, break that $10.40 liquidity zone over here, and yeah, we got lots of volatility above that. So it's got the possibilities of eventually giving us a breakout for investors and a good opportunity to buy some dips in here. But in the meantime, that chop, that volatility is what we look for. We love scalping that stuff. So um, I think he was saying to buy this one loosely, or was he saying to stay away? Let me see here.
So
Couple.
normally when he's got a CEO on, I always assume that's a buy.
Right.
And I mean, he's been a fan of SoFi for a while.
He flipped on it a little bit though. I thought 2 weeks ago he was saying stay away, not necessarily sell, but stay away for a minute, wait for the move.
Maybe. I don't specifically remember, but I know, back in our S gym days, we were, we spent a lot of time shorting SoFi because that was a fave.
Yeah, I mean it was a great short for a long time, but you can only do that for so long before you gotta cover. Um, I don't know. I mean, investors would be interested in this, but I think we got a lot of volatility to get through first. So
Yeah, I mean, too choppy for me.
that's
But, if you're, yeah, again, I mean, if I had time to sit around and watch the screens all day, I think you're right. It's a great trading stock. But given I don't, it's just too much going on.
it's got a lot going on for anybody who's busy with that work-life balance is weighed enough on somebody, and when trading in that respect becomes a hobby, yeah, you don't have time to watch the screens all day. That is something we kind of stress on, so we're trying to look for um, a balance at the bullish bears to get the futures traders what they need, and they're the people who do tend to scalp in the mornings. A lot of them work a day job still, providing variety for everybody. We go into equities, and this is kind of a lead into that. Swing traders will tend to trade with limit orders, and they don't necessarily like something that is this choppy to go and swing trade. So, yeah, day traders, this is a great stock for trading. Some swing traders who have a little bit better ability to analyze this kind of chop and make some sense out of it will do well with it. But from my standpoint, yeah, it's strictly a scalp it and wait, scalp it, wait, scalp it, wait. Be patient for setups, that sort of thing. They do present themselves pretty often on this one, but for the most part, we just got targets on it. It's all we can do. So yeah, it's choppy, hard
Uh,
to trade. Um, should we go to PLTR? That thing
He
is
did say something good about PLTR last night.
that thing is I almost want to call it a widowmaker, but I don't want to compare it to natural gas, but can it be more obvious with market structure? I mean, you had exactly that capitalization, accumulation, breakout, break the previous range here. It gave a hellacious move, kind of stagnated around on the mean reversion of the main trend. And then now we're testing the previous accumulation here, where a lot of people saw this as a cup and handle that failed and it ripped their faces off. Never chase that. Wait for a better trend. Well, we had another cup and handle right here. There's your handle. There's your breakout move. Now we're extended into the target area, which is just previous highs. Easy seeing these when you want to just, you can put a pivot here, but I didn't need to. There's liquidity here. There's sellers, bag holders here and here. Here we are. We visit them. We found them. They are right here again. So going into the daily chart, looks a bit like the old head and shoulders reversal, like we're going to probably revert half or whole trend here. Um, I don't know, man. When he's saying good things about this, this feels like a top tick to me. And looking at the chart tells me,
Could be. I mean, I do actually kind of like this chart, but I mean, I'd use the 20-day EMA at 24.23 as a stop, so you don't have as long as you don't have a gap down, you don't have a lot of risk. Because I do see what you're seeing on the head and shoulders, and there's that really big gap
right,
on the downside that could get filled.
it's a monster. And, let me see, about 2450 is where the short term target is right here on a 5 minute chart. I got a measure move set up. There's a bear flag. Look for a
Yeah,
revisit.
24.63 is the 10-day.
Nice. Great minds, man. We all find our dope different ways, but man, when you scalp stuff, you get quick at charting. This is exactly what you see, and I like it for a trading chart. But I think you might have top ticked it here. I'm thinking we're going to revert, test that support, and then maybe swing out. So maybe he'll get it right over time. Being long on this, but can't quite give a kudo for this just yet. For investors, maybe, but not for traders. I want to see this thing start to break this liquidity zone I have in green here. It's green for go. We look for a primary move. We've seen this a million times. I've seen this exact pattern. Break this zone, run for here. You get half or whole. 2620, 2720, both valid targets after a breach of this zone. But first, we got to accumulate here for a while. We got a barely parabolic trend here to go and retrace. Worst case scenario, it gets to about 24, 25 or so. Maybe we see it down to 23-ish. But for the most part, yeah, it's a bit top ticky when he says, good things about it in this mess, and everybody's taking profit here. So
Yeah, one of my guys is always bugging me to do a 2x on this, but I don't know that it's popular enough with retail to sustain that.
I agree with you there. It's not quite the most looked at stock for retail. They're all in the Nvidia stuff. They're into
Well, yeah.
Apple, Amazon, and all that stuff. This is a great trading stock. A lot of institutional traders will mess with this, so it looks good for something like building an ETF out of. But dig deeper. You want that retail audience in there to have some participation before that becomes popular enough to get the liquidity we like to see.
Yep.
And the whole point of myself doing a wheel trade on a triple X leveraged ETF is I'm building some chart time so I can go and look at things like TSLT and looking at the Nvidia multiplier there and running wheels on them. When they get the right liquidity, we start seeing weekly options stack up on there. That's where we're going to be really interested in starting to sell some premium on those and wheel trade alike. So I'm building that base. I'm going to go ahead and build the dope on TNA and use that as a means to guide you in the future when that options volume appears. It's going to give you an opportunity to start learning how to wheel trade and make some really good use of leveraged ETFs. I'm going to hope to bring that out probably within the next month or two once I finish the wheel on this thing, and I'll have some data on there to reflect on and a lot to write about. So I love writing. Should I skip the DraftKings thing, or should I look at that? I mean,
What did he say about DraftKings? I remember something.
I think he was saying he didn't.
Oh, he didn't say it last night.
It's in a lightning round somewhere. I picked it up.
I think it was not yesterday. I think it was the day before. I could swear he came out negative on that.
Well, if he did
He's
come out,
liked it. I know that.
let me see here. He said to sell, let's see, BNAI, iRobot, and Dominion.
Okay. Yep. I remember that.
Stay away from DraftKings. Okay, that's what he said there. Got
All
it.
right.
So,
And it is breaking out.
of course, that was an absolute bottom tick. I could see the logic here. Maybe he saw this double top and didn't notice that this was starting to accumulate into a wedge. Freaking gorgeous bull flag. Broke its liquidity zone, hitting the green zone I have marked out on it. I've traded this thing many times before. It's just the same market structure I look for. Accumulation, break. Been trading it bullish off and on through this whole mess. Liquidity is right here. Be a little cautious above 47. Get Cramer to bottom tick a bull flag. Ouch.
Yep.
But looking for the bulls on this move, I'm thrilled that it's running this level. I'm gonna take profit on the long position, probably if it hits like $49 or so, because I'm not so sure it's gonna quite pull into this area and fill out. A lot of people mistake the cup and handle as a reversal. It's not. It's a continuation pattern. You're looking for here on a trend. This is a trend, but these are not cup and handles. These are just pullbacks and measured moves, and we're at a 2.5 for 1, which is pretty rare, right at the top of that zone. So be a little cautious if you're still long on this thing. But man, if you outmaneuvered Cramer on this one, kudos to you. You smoked it. That thing is awesome. As far as liquidity in this thing, it has a lot of volume. I don't know that I'd make a leverage ETF on this one, but man, I love trading it.
Yeah, no.
Moving into this one, yeah, I could say we can frown at Cramer a little bit, throw a little shade on him, and as a bit of a bottom tick. But you're not going to be right all the time, and heck, we aren't. But our accuracy rating is above 90%, so.
And it's better than Jimbo's.
Yeah, that's for sure. Technical analysis wins. Uh, almost flawless victory. We'll call it that. Not a fatality, but if you're Mortal Kombat fans, I'm nerding out over here. Um, the other one he was mentioning is I'm not going to go into Dominion. It's not a very interesting stock for me to trade.
No, yeah, no one gives a crap.
CMG though, that thing they just announced they're going to start looking to do a 50-1 forward split. It's about time because I mean it's just crested the $3,000 mark. Pretty clean measured moves. We've done the 1.5 right here to 30.26 and or 30.23. Sorry, that was kind of my bull target on it. Pulled back. I forget if he said he was bullish on that or not. Let me see here.
I think he did, and yeah, he did. So someone asked him about Kava, and
That's
he
right.
said, I like Chipotle better, but I like Kava. And I'm one of those guys because I'm a trader and because I talk to retail traders. I think stock splits matter. I mean, if you're the average retail guy or even a small hedge fund, I mean, how do you buy this at 2,900?
Yeah,
You
that's a
know,
that's a big chunk of change.
and how do you buy the options? I mean, I'm not looking at the options, but I got to assume, one contract is got to be through the roof. So to me, a name like this, a stock split matters.
So it's even if I had the capital to wheel trade this thing, and I don't. um, Looking at those numbers and realizing, yes, those options are just out of sight. I mean, unattainable, right? You can run leverage spreads reasonably in it. Can't really do much with the poor man's covered call where you buy a leap on it because it's just way overpriced. But percentage wise, if you were to have the capital to purchase 100 shares, be willing to purchase another 100 shares by selling a cash covered put, and then sell your covered calls on this to wheel, I don't think the yield would be anywhere near 2% monthly natural on something at this price. I used to think it would be somewhere in there with Amazon when Amazon was at $3,000, and it just wasn't there. The only one that was there, and it was volatile as hell to push the premium up on the options chain, was Tesla. That was the killer to go and wheel trade, but it can absolutely wreck your portfolio if you're wrong or if you're not ahead of that trade. So there was
Yep.
risk, but the yield was closer to like 12% monthly on natural Tesla options when it was trading at before the split. When this thing does split, it'll be what, around $60 a share? Now you're talking. There's some leverage
Right.
available there. Then you can get a percentage yield probably better than 6%, which is good per month. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm gonna wait till that split happens, and I might start taking a bigger look at this thing. But would I buy it here? I would say it's a bit top heavy. Um, Maybe swing trade the equity. If you want to scalp a share or two in this mess, sure, you can make a buck. And someone sure as heck did yesterday because they're profiting now. They've made the mean reversion. It's basically taken almost half that candle back right there. I'm looking for maybe an outside move to push through resistance here at like 29.50 and maybe say hit just above 30.50, maybe even get into the 30.90 area. But that is one heck of an outsized move. And again, that's already done pretty much the 1.5 on the weekly chart. So I don't know if I would run that higher. Running a full 2-for-1 measured move is pretty rare. So keep an eye on it for sure. That was a definite beautiful cup and handle that you can absolutely take an example of. There's your rounding bottom, the breach above the high, the handles here. There's your run. Easy peasy continuation pattern. Careful if you're chasing this thing, man. It's already well up there. And the other one he mentioned, Kava. Let me go look at that real quick. Kind of a similar move. This is trading uh, where Chipotle is going to be trading soon, and this is the kind of stuff we can actually trade. This is good stuff. So get into a daily chart. Let me compress this a little bit. The primary and secondary, this is follow through. It's looking like it'll exceed this primary target here and hit the extension up here around 71. Um, this is an odd thing that I do, and I'm going to share something with you guys that I usually only share with our members in the group here. When you see these primaries, instead of taking it from the bottom to the top, grab the bottom and then stack that range in the mean of the first consolidation. And you usually get your extension target for the short term. And in this case, if I stack it in the mean, the difference between here and here, right on top of that bar, it gave us this wick. Easy trade. Done. Now we're testing. We went down and tested the previous high. We continue to trend out. Continuation is strong, likely to hit that 70, 71 target. Pretty easy stuff. When you're looking at Cramer saying, I'd rather go buy Chipotle, this was the better deal. And if you're wheel trading this and selling premium on it, kudos. You do very well with the leverage yield on this one. Would I continue to run it long here? Sure, I think it's okay, but he definitely made this Cramer bar here for us to buy a dip and run on higher. Thank you.
I love the term Cramer bar.
Yeah. I think we
Start
should
our own candy bar.
we should brand that. Why not? A Cramer bar. Because every time he speaks,
I may use that on social media.
have at it, man. That is a good one. I think we'll write that down. That's a historic moment right here, guys. We just created something
Yeah.
that's worth mentioning.
We came up with a new trading concept.
Absolutely.
You've got RSI, you've got Cramer bar.
I like it. That's the whole thing we look at anyway. I mean, every time he speaks about a stock, it brings attention to it and it brings volume to it. Volume makes those big bars happen. It's a Cramer bar. That is a definition, baby. I like it. All right, I got time for a couple more, I think. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
He was looking into, let's see here, a couple oil stocks. Let's go with Phillips.
Yep. Yeah. He did like that one.
That's a little bit of a maybe for me, man. It's already made a very obvious move. It's already hit its target.
Yeah, I mean it's what 27 points, give or take, on the year so far, and
It's killing it. I mean, that's
it's an oil stock.
Parabolic run going into an election.
I love trading the oil stocks, buying them when they're down. I don't like chasing them.
I'm going to take this into a quick account here. Just, whoops. I didn't mean to do that. Darn. I'm fumbling. My drawing skills are shaky today. I think I've had a third cup of coffee when I normally only have two, so I'm a little jittery. So we get the extension here through this consolidation. Pretty much has a little bit more sky left to be had in it, but man, I'm a little bit leery of it reaching that next high. He was bullish on it. I'm looking at this little double top setup here. It can turn into a bull flag and finish the move, but be careful if you're trying to go for a big swing in this thing. The big swing's already over. We're looking for the little swing.
Yeah, no, I mean my spot would have either been the breakout in November or when it kind of retested the 50-day back in February. Again, I don't like these. I don't like chasing oil stocks.
No,
I mean,
sir.
this is not an AI stock, and it almost looks like it.
I mean, we were looking at this even last year. Like we were looking at producers first, and this is where we look for rotation, like WTI. We were looking at this last year, and let me get this. In here, we were looking at possible rotation, and look at this. It made us a nice bearish measure move all the way down. Then we started looking at it again around 244 early this year, late last year. And things kind of gave us a sign of some rotation, but the producers usually lead the refiners. So once we started noticing there was some rotation in these areas, it went to resistance, rejected, pulled back, consolidated, wedge failed, broke down, tested new lows. So not a lot of strength in oil stocks left to be had on the refiner side in that respect. Producers always kind of lead. And this is a stock that no one really looks at. WTI, I think Cramer mentioned it once last year, and I kind of used it as a bit of a gauge to kind of find some stuff. At one point, I was looking at maybe wheel trading it because if it had just enough options liquidity, I would do it, but no, not worth it. Ring Energy is another one I kind of watch, and where is that one? There it is. And REI. I missed the ticker up. So looking at that same rotation, another penny stock. This one actually does have enough options yield to make it worth doing a wheel trade on, even though it's trading, between $1.50 and $2. But look, the price action's pretty simple. So we're topped out here. We've pretty much made a mean reversion. The test is over. Let it consolidate for a while. So don't go chasing oil stocks just yet, especially going into election. They're going to go crazy depending on who takes the seat. If it's going to be a red seat, you can expect oil prices to go down. They're more interested in domestic production, supply and demand. If you're looking at a blue seat,
You know what? I I need to go. That's my fingerprint
oh
guys
yeah,
just showed up.
no problem, man. I'll let you go. But we'll
All
leave,
right.
we'll leave with
See
that.
you
Careful with
later.
oil. Thanks again for joining me. We'll see you guys next week.